Hey, Nathaniel, nice to meet you. Um, just kind of first off, what do you think yesterday when you got the news? Was it something that you were anticipating, something that caught you off guard? Just kind of what was your immediate reaction?
I don't know, with the ads that we were making, and I think the way that things were going overall through the winter, it felt like my role was going to kind of get either reinforced or replaced. And then, when you see the GM's phone pop up in the middle of winter, that's kind of usually how that goes. So, second time getting traded in the winter, I'm excited for a new opportunity. And when he said I'm going to Washington, I was like, all right, let's go for it.
So you've been on a team the last few years with some pretty big name players. Obviously, you guys won a World Series. You come now to a team that's really young, and you're all of a sudden one of the older, more experienced guys. What do you think that dynamic is going to be like for you?
It's kind of odd, but looking at all the 97s and 98s and 2000s on the roster is a new experience. So, now being a guy who can be a voice of reason in the clubhouse and can definitely help this younger core continue to develop is going to be a new challenge, and it's going to be something exciting because, maybe the immediate goal isn't like, sorry, I don't want to get ahead of myself. The pieces may not all be there yet, but like I was a part of a Texas team my first year, we were terrible. And we didn't have the big names. We had good players. We were a good, well, not a good major league team by show of record, but to see it grow into what it grew into was so special. And it feels like another opportunity to do something like that.
Andrew Golden, Washington Post.
Daniel, nice to meet you. When you were in your first year with them, I guess it was 2021. Like, what did you learn about yourself being kind of a rebuilding team and kind of going through that process? Like, what did you feel like you learned about yourself during that process? And what did you learn as a baseball player?
21 was big for me because I realized there was a lot of work left to do, even though it was my first full season. Because in Tampa, I'd always ask for more at bats, right? And the platoon system that's in place there doesn't necessarily allow for one starter to get a full slate of 550 at bats. So when I got that first chance and I finished strong, but there were ups and downs, there were different pieces that I still had to learn. I was a terrible defender. I was not a special base runner, and I didn't really do anything to stick out. So after I left that first full season in Texas, I went home and was like, man, there's a lot of work left to do here. So yeah, it was a special experience, and being able to be on a team that gave me some leeway, right? Gave me 155 games to play at first base was really awesome. But I got to learn there's still a lot left to do.
You mentioned with the Rays, there's kind of like the platoon system, but kind of looking at your numbers, like you have pretty even splits for the most part for your career versus like both lefty and righty. What do you think allows you to kind of have that success against both, and how much pride do you take in being an everyday player versus a platoon player?
I love it. I love it. If you're only good at certain things and you don't get a chance to perform in that area, then it feels like you're leaving something on the table. And at the end of my career, I don't want to leave anything on the table. I want to do everything I can to make myself the best version of me. So being able to get left on left at bats was definitely something that I was looking forward to when I got to Texas, and definitely something that I continue to look forward to because I don't believe in the narrative of left on left matchups. I just don't. And as soon as you allow yourself to believe that narrative, then maybe there might be a sense of doubt. But I don't care what side the pitcher throws the ball from, it's still got to cross the plate.
Spencer Nussbaum, Washington Post.
Hey, Nathaniel, nice to meet you over Zoom. You talked a little bit about now being one of the older guys in this new clubhouse. For you, what is your version of veteran leadership look like, coming from you?
Just being available. I would never, it's a similar role to what I do with my brother. I would never want to tell him exactly what to do and exactly how to do it because he has to learn in his own path how he's going to be the best version of himself. And that's the same way with these young kids, because you are your best coach, whether you believe it or not. And there are definitely staff members and older players along the way that can help you realize that. But until you believe in yourself, it makes the game really hard. So if I can help these guys realize what got them here is going to help them have great careers, then we're going to get the most out of every piece.
And when you look back at your numbers from 2023, what stands out to you? What are you happiest with? And I guess where do you see room for improvement?
23.
23 and 24.
23 and 24. I'm looking to get back to power production. That's the big piece of what's going to make me the best version of me, because the first baseman in the middle of the lineup needs to be able to drive the ball out of the ballpark consistently, drive in runs consistently. And I feel like I have pretty good strike zone discipline. So I'm going to do my best at getting on base for guys behind me. So for me to get back to, I don't want to put a number on the home runs or anything like that, because it's all relative to the opportunities that you get. But I need to do a better job of maximizing my power production.
Mark Zuckerman?
You have had looks like a very patient eye all along throughout your career. Obviously, draw walks. It seems like you're willing to work an at bat, that kind of thing. Is that something that has come naturally to you? And that's not necessarily a skill everyone has.
I think so. I believe that offense flows in rhythm. There are certain guys who can do special things. Obviously, you have to be ready early in the count, but there's certain times where the pitcher needs a break and you need to take a strike. Maybe there's a matchup guy that you're going to see later at a more important time, and you need to take a pitch in a certain situation, but you have to be on the gas pedal at the same time too. So if you get 27 outs, the idea is not to make any of them easy. So if you can work an at bat longer, see a couple more pitches, grind down a starter, get somebody tired so the guy behind you can tee off on something, then I think that controlling the count and being patient is a good way to go about that.
And then you mentioned defense earlier and how, in your mind, you weren't very good at it a few years ago when you first started playing it. What allowed you to become the defensive player that you are, and what did winning a Gold Glove mean? Because that's obviously a pretty dramatic shift from where you believe you were.
Yeah, consistency and care is one thing. It's not that I didn't care before, but I don't think I cared the right way. It was just, I'm going to take ground balls before spring training. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be in rhythm and we'll work it out. But caring about tiny details matters. And Tony Beasley in Texas has done a great job of continuing to direct me, find me a routine that works for me. And yeah, it's been great to see the computer agree with how I've played defense. But the same thing goes for trusting a pitching staff too, because when the pitcher gets over and covers, all I have to do is knock it down and throw it to him. So it's a team thing for sure. But defense has been something that I think has improved drastically, and I'm very proud of.
Andrew?
There were a handful of first basemen this weekend who were signing. It felt like it was like Goldschmidt, Santana, all these different guys signing at once. Like, were you keeping up with that at all and seeing how that was all kind of flowing, or was it just kind of a thing where like you weren't paying attention to that at all?
Loosely, yes, but you can't control it. You can't buy into it. So still being under team control, if the GM calls and I'm on the move, then I'm on the move. Or if not, then I'm going to show up as a Ranger and be prepared to go there. So when his name popped up on my phone, immediately I was like, well, I'm getting traded. So that's just how it goes. But it was cool. It's cool to see the shuffle, because that means that first basemen are in high demand.
Another thing too, are there any guys from the team who you already know from previous stops, or anybody who you kind of know currently on the team?
Loosely, yeah. I met Mackenzie Gore last year at this golf tournament in Orlando, and then caught up with him there. CJ Abrams went to high school right down the road from where I went to high school, so there's some connections there. Elijah Green in the system, we have the same agent and have trained together in the winter, so I got some connects, and it's been pretty fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Spencer?
Yeah, you historically have a swing that obviously works really well the opposite way. I was curious if you could kind of walk us through both the origin of that and if you've looked into it all, how that might play at Nationals Park.
To be honest, I try not to overthink it. I think a ball redirected hard is a win for a hitter. So whether it's to the pull side or the opposite side, ideally it's, you want it in the air. I'm not going to hit triples or things like that on the ground. I'm not that kind of burner. So when it's in the air and on the barrel, I just don't really care which direction it goes in. And if the pitch is in, I'm going to do my best to pull it, and everything else, I'm going to do my best to stay in the big part of the field.
And what does the rest of your off season look like from here on out?
Well, I go home. My wife and I are hosting Christmas with both of our families together, so that's exciting to do that for the first time this year. My brother gets married in the middle of January, and outside of that, my pedals to the metal. It's spring training is going to be here before we know it, so it's pretty exciting time.
All right, guys, anything else? All right, Nathaniel, thank you very much for joining us today. Everyone have a happy holiday, especially you, Nathaniel. And we'll see everyone in West Palm.
Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you all.